On Wednesday, the New South Wales government released its first Labor budget in 12 years. I downloaded all of the budget documents spanning over 1,000 pages. I read it from the start to finish, summarized and analyzed it for those of you who are keen on Australian property investment. It's more efficient for me to spend a few hours on this than for you to do the same. Aside from significant investments in Western Sydney infrastructure, the new airport, Sydney Metro, and the Parramatta Light Rail project, there's a sneaky move in this NSW budget. Again, following the Labor Party's consistent approach, they are squeezing the property investors' profit margin again. But this time, they've targeted all property owners. Yes, you heard that right. Even those who own their homes have been affected this time. Especially for middle-class families owning mid to high-end properties, the cost of property ownership is set to rise significantly. For some property owners, the logic behind property investment might need a complete overhaul. Where will the government funds be allocated over the next 4 years in Sydney? Which areas will infrastructure developments boost? How should the logic of property investment be adjusted to adapt to the policy changes and maximize investment returns? Hey there, my name's Alex. Welcome to my channel, where I share information about real estate investment, economic trends, and wealth creation. If you like this video, please smash the subscribe button and turn on the notification bell to watch new weekly videos. Without further ado, let's get into it. Let's dive straight into our first topic, Western Sydney infrastructure. Western Sydney is a geographical concept encompassing all of the land parcels in Sydney's northwestern and southwestern development zones. The northwestern development zone revolves around Rouse Hill, while the southwest is centered around the new airport and the Leppington corridor. Sydney's new airport is under construction, with the first runway set to operate in 2026. In this year's budget, there's a continued strong support for the construction of the Western Sydney Airport, and direct bus services to the airport will be provided for residents in Penrith, Liverpool, and Campbelltown. Of course, the major Sydney Metro project connecting the new airport also received substantial funding. The Sydney Metro is arguably a mega infrastructure project, on par with the Western Sydney Airport. A few years ago, the line from Sydney's northwest to Chatswood was completed. Currently, other lines are under construction, including 3 main ones. Sydney Metro Western Sydney Airport line includes 6 stations from St Mary's to the new airport. Sydney Metro West line includes 9 stations from Sydney's city centre to Westmead. Sydney Metro City and Southwest line includes 18 stations from Chatswood through the city centre to Bankstown. These 3 lines have received massive investments. It seems the government is determined to complete the Sydney Metro as soon as possible. Those who are concerned about Metro line cancellation or excessive delays can now rest easy. For the government's budget allocation to the Western Sydney Airport and Sydney Metro projects, it's clear that the budget's infrastructure focus remains on the southwest suburbs. For those of you who have invested in Sydney's southwest, property prices might rise sooner and faster in the coming years. For properties near other Sydney Metro lines, I recall that the government plans to increase the number of high-density residences to address housing supply issues. Thus, the appreciation potential for those high-density residences might be limited. Another heartening development in this New South Wales budget is the continued investment in Parramatta Light Rail project. The government has allocated $200 million specifically for the planning, property acquisition, construction and development of the Parramatta Light Rail Stage 2. It seems the government hasn't abandoned this highly anticipated infrastructure project. The second stage of the Parramatta Light Rail will start from Parramatta, passing through Camellia, Ermington, Melrose Park, Wentworth Point, and finally reaching Sydney Olympic Park. There were rumors about indefinite delay for the second stage of the light rail, but now it is clear that the construction plan is ongoing and everyone can be reassured. Starting July the 1st this year, first-home buyers in New South Wales who purchase properties valued at less than $800,000 will be exempt from stamp duty. Those buying properties between $800,000 and $1 million will receive a stamp duty discount. However, most properties in this price range are apartments. Living in them is fine. After living there for 6 months, converting them to rental properties is also an option, but expecting them to appreciate in value might be challenging. Since the start of this channel, I've consistently said and still maintain that for apartment properties' market value to appreciate, they must have more scarcity. For instance, apartments near the Opera House, with views of the Harbour Bridge or penthouses in prime locations are all excellent investments. But if it's just an ordinary apartment in a massive project, its appreciation potential is likely limited because there are too many identical units. After discussing the government-funded infrastructure projects and first home buyer subsidies, let's delve into the significant policy reform in this budget, the 25% ownership rule. The most significant and jaw-dropping policy change in this budget for property investors is the 25% ownership rule. Under this new framework, there's a new condition for New South Wales residents to qualify for the principal place of residence land tax exemption. It's wordy, I know. An individual's ownership stake must exceed 25% the value of the land of the primary residence to be excluded from land tax calculations. If this has yet to catch your attention, let's delve deeper. Nearly every state and territory in Australia imposes a land tax on property. Typically, this tax is calculated based on the combined value of the land portions of all investment properties owned by an individual within a particular state or territory. If different individuals own properties or are in different states, the land tax is reset and recalculated. However, in most states and territories, primary residents are exempt from land tax. This land tax rule has long been seen by seasoned property investors as a benefit, as it encourages people to buy the most expensive standalone houses they can afford as their primary residences, thereby driving up prices for such properties. Meanwhile, townhouses and apartments which have lower land values don't benefit as much from this exemption. But under the new tax framework, this long-standing advantage may need to be re-evaluated or even altered for some, potentially changing the investment strategies. Let's consider a simple example. Suppose a husband and wife, both Australian citizen or permanent resident, jointly own a property valued at $3 million, with the wife owning a 20% stake, the husband 80%, and the land portion valued at $2 million. The wife also owns several investment properties with their combined land value at the current New South Wales land tax threshold of $969,000. Since the land value of the primary residence isn't considered for land tax, and the total land value of the investment properties doesn't exceed the threshold, the wife doesn't pay any land tax. Now, with the introduction of the 25% ownership rule, since the wife's ownership stake in this primary residence is only 20% and doesn't meet 25% criterion, the land value of the primary residence must be included in the land tax calculation. 20% of the $2 million land value, or $400,000, is now taxable. Assuming the combined land value of the wife's investment properties was exactly at the land tax exemption threshold, the additional $400,000 in land value would be taxed at a rate of 1.6% plus $100, resulting in an annual land tax bill of $6,500. So, who does this 25% ownership rule impact? Firstly, it affects the middle class and above, those with several properties in New South Wales, especially if the cumulative land value of their investment properties is near the land tax threshold. Secondly, it affects those who jointly purchase properties, like couples or parents buying with their children. Lastly, it impacts those with high land value primary residents, typically high-end standalone houses. This policy doesn't affect first-home buyers or those with lower valued properties as much. If you're affected by this, there are two solutions. The first is to simply bear it and pay the tax annually. The second is to adjust the ownership percentage. Based on the example given earlier, the husband would need to transfer at least 5% ownership to his wife, ensuring her stake reaches 25%, thus avoiding the land tax. However, this introduces another tax, the stamp duty. For properties worth $3 million, transferring a 5% stake valued at $150,000 to the wife would incur a one-time stamp duty of $3,495. In terms of execution, a lawyer must handle the process, which involves documentation, contracts, settlements, and banks. The procedure is exactly the same as buying a property, so full legal fee will apply, typically around $2,200. If the property is mortgaged, the bank must be notified. The major banks, if the property and the owner's name remain unchanged and only the ownership percentage is adjusted, they may not require additional documentations or a new loan application. However, small banks might find it necessary to go through the loan process again. While the process might seem complicated, for the homeowners, it's mostly about providing documents and signing, and the rest is managed by professionals. So, some might think it's not a huge amount, why not just transfer the ownership? True, but this only applies to our example. If the husband runs a business and fears debt collection, holding only 1% of the property, while the wife has 99%, or if the mother holds 99% and the daughter 1%, it becomes more complicated. If you pay land tax annually, even if it's not a significant amount, it accumulates over the years. If you adjust the ownership percentage, the one-time stamp duty might be too hefty. Without a clear winning solution, many might continue paying the land tax. The New South Wales Treasurer's move was precise. I guess there's a consulting firm behind this conducting model analysis, from which the Treasurer chooses the most beneficial option for the government. Some might feel that our research is too detailed. Buying an investment property can't be that complicated. Just buy it, right? Well, I'll have to disagree. We offer comprehensive property investment portfolio management services to our Vision members. Since we get paid, we must deliver quality services and work in the members' best interest. We strive to provide the best investment solutions for our members by thoroughly understanding policies, regulations, and the unique characteristics of property investment in various cities, combined with model analysis. Even if understanding a regulation saves our members a few $1,000s, it's a profit for them, and it's worth it. Regarding the 25% ownership rule, I've discussed with our team's senior accountants Sammy and Winnie, our legal advisor David, and our mortgage strategist Amy. We've shared our findings with everyone and have incorporated these regulations into our members' investment decision-making process. So big thanks to Sammy, Winnie, David, and Amy for your help. Okay, after this intensive number crunching session, let's shift to some good news. The Reserve Bank of Australia has paused interest rate hikes for 3 consecutive months. We've observed that the market concerns about further rate hikes have gradually reduced. Not only have home buyers become more at ease, but commercial banks have also taken action. Over the past month, Australia's Big Four banks have adjusted their loan products. For 1 to 3 years fixed interest, principal and interest repayment loans, the rate cuts range from 0.2% to 0.35%. This suggests that the banks are essentially convinced that the central bank RBA will lower rates in the 1 to 3 year timeframe. Banks' rate predictions differ from the average person's. When banks anticipate a direction for interest rates, they adjust their loan products rates, essentially placing a tangible bet. If they guess wrong, they're almost certain to lose money. My speculation is that before the end of the year, the central bank may raise rates by another 0.25%, or they might not raise them at all. The period of peak loan interest rates has essentially passed, and in the next 1 to 2 years, the pressure of loan repayments will likely only decrease. Those who have recently purchased homes or are currently house hunting don't need to worry too much. There are several data points in this recent budget that are quite interesting, and I'd like to share them with you. First, the average number of building approvals per 1,000 people in New South Wales has decreased from 7.9 units in 1992 to 6.6 units in 2022. This indicates that over the past few decades, the housing supply has become increasingly tight, providing a robust upward momentum for the New South Wales property market. Next is the rise in rent. Rent increases in Sydney's main urban areas have far outpaced other regions. So if you're looking to get cash flow from renting out properties, it is best to buy in central Sydney, including areas surrounding the Sydney centre and central areas of satellite cities. Another interesting economic data point I noticed is the ratio of tax revenue to the state's gross state product, GSP. This measures how much tax the government collects for every dollar produced in the state, including taxes from businesses, individuals, consumption, and investments. As expected, Victoria is the highest, followed by New South Wales as the close second, with Queensland in the middle and Western Australia the lowest. This indicates that while Western Australia has high output, it also has lower taxes. So from this perspective alone, it is suitable for business operations, personal wealth accumulation, and of course, property investment. If you've made it this far, please give me a thumbs up, subscribe, and share this video with your friends. Turn on the notification bell to watch new weekly videos and follow me on social media at RealCoachAlex. I'll see you in the next video. Have a good one. Bye-bye.